Hi guys, and welcome to another Mentoring Monday. My name's Parham. I'm an entrepreneur and property investor, and in today's video we're talking about how becoming a millionaire has changed me. Now before we get into the video, if you could possibly give it a big like, it helps me out with the algorithm, and if you haven't already subscribed, consider subscribing. We've got a channel plan, have a look in the description. There's lots of free resources in there as well. If you want to download deal analyzers or anything like that, it's all free of charge. It'll all be in there for you. But let's get into the video and how becoming a millionaire might have changed me. So guys, the first thing I want to touch on is, for me, becoming wealthy took time. I was building businesses and investing the money that I was making into property and other investments, and as such it took a long time really for me to become what you would consider wealthy. As such, I think the thing that changed about me first was my mindset and what I decided to do with my money. So I think once my basic needs had been covered, I kind of started just making sure that every penny I made over that was invested. And I took great pleasure in making those investments, whether it be index funds or property investments, it wouldn't matter. I just loved investing. And this really accumulated in 2019 when I found myself, being able to afford to purchase the home that I was in cash every year if I wanted to. And I was clearly living in the wrong property for my wealth. And our cars outside the front were worth about a quarter of the value of the house. And we decided we had to move on. But honestly, I just kind of forgot that I was doing it. I was just working incredibly hard, building up this property portfolio and building up my businesses. And as such, becoming wealthy wasn't really the objective. The objective was just to become as big and grow as much as I possibly could. So guys, what's changed for me? I mean, I guess I still live in a house, although it's now bigger. I still drive a car, although it's now nicer. So nothing's really changed at a base core level. I just think that you get more choices as your wealth increases. We go on holidays, but they're just a little bit nicer. Ultimately, in terms of my happiness, I think I was very happy before. I think I'm happiest, and this is going to sound crazy, and it's probably easy for me to say, and you would say, oh, it's easy for you to say, Mark, but honestly, I'm happy as long as I'm on a mission and objective, and as long as I feel like I'm growing. As long as I'm doing something that means that I'm moving forward, then I'm really happy. What I'm going to find really funny is Nick's going to fall over here. No, he's not. So some of the things that you will find as you go up the wealth spectrum and you start spending money, I guess, on optional extras, if you like my children go to private school. It's about £1,500 per child. So if you've got three, that's the best part of £5 a month. Cars, they get a little bit more expensive, and that's fine. Ultimately they still do the same thing. You just arrive in a little bit more luxury. And I wouldn't say that I've gone crazy on cars. I don't really have a desire for a supercar, although I think I might get one next year if we get back to normal and if COVID buggers off and I can get to building my businesses again. But ultimately, I think the only thing that really changed for me is that I had more options. Maybe I got to eat a little bit more, I had a bit more time, but because I've got this growth mindset where I'm constantly trying to improve, I always throw myself into the next challenge. It doesn't matter what it is. Whether it's a new business, whether it's a new investment, whatever it might be, I throw myself into it. I don't honestly think that I'd have got to where I am now if my end objective was to lie in bed till 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. I think that for some reason I would never have been able to get to this point. I think the universe kind of just stacks it up that way, that, as soon as you start to get to the point where you feel that you can let up, you start to let up, and as such, you never quite get to the point where you can. For me, it's always been about growth. It's always been about learning. It's always been about getting better. And I feel like a Mark Parham today is so much better than a Mark Parham 3 years ago. And I can't wait to see what I'm like in 3 years' time. So Nick, I've got another thing that I really want to tell everybody. Look, come on with me, watch this. This is how I take the bins out. This is what really changes. So yeah, Verdi, this is how we take the bins out. Now, once you become a millionaire, you just mess around on e-scooters and take the bins out like this. So guys, the other thing I want to talk about, and all joking aside and the scooter aside, is the fact that, obviously this has taken a long period of time for me to get to where I am now. Now, I'm very much a believer in great things take time. And although, it's taken me 10 years probably from the start of the endeavour to get to where I am now, and as I said, I can't wait to see where I am in 10 years' time from now, also there was a lot going up to that where I was building up my skills, and all of these things compound over the time. So the big change for me was really at the point where my basic needs were met and I started investing. And it didn't matter how much it was. At the beginning it was small. We're talking like a couple of £100 a month, £300 a month. But before you know it, that's 5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand. You're buying the next house and you're moving up. So for me, it really mattered when I made that switch in my mind. And I think it was The Richest Man in Babylon that I read, and it said the part of everything that you own is yours to keep. And for me, that's the bit that just switched my mind up and went, well, even if I'm only earning a couple of grand a month, I should be able to invest £200 a month. And I used a compound interest calculator, and I remember doing it on lots of different sums. And I looked at £200 a month over 40 years, and I had something like 2.5 million at the end of that. And there was lots of digits going up, and I just realized that if I started now, just started, then I would start on my fortune. And what you see today is really the accumulation of the compounding of skills, the compounding of money, the compounding of network over the last decade. So guys, I've come back inside because it's absolutely freezing outside, but I just wanted to touch upon one last thing on this video, that for me, the lifelong learning thing has been key. I've always tried to improve. So I would say to you, I know I touched upon it outside, the compounding of skills. I would very much urge you to compound your skills and understand what that means to you over a period of time. It does take a while for that to start going, the same as it does with money. If you look at a compound interest calculator, and again, I'll put a link in the description so that you can go to a site and have a look at what that means. But I would absolutely urge you to just realize that it's not just money. It's skills, it's network, it's all the other things that allow you to become bigger and better. It's that growth mindset. So for me, what has actually changed? Because that's what the video is entitled, right? Nothing's really changed. I still live in a house. I still want to grow. I still have kids that go to school. You know, everything stayed the same on its core level. I just have more options, I guess. And I'm very conscious that I'm in a very, very fortunate position in lots and lots of ways. Obviously, COVID has hit me quite hard because I have obviously a taxi company, and you can imagine how that's gone during COVID. But post-COVID, I expect to be working incredibly hard, building my businesses, building my brands back up, making sure that we achieve everything we can. I've got lots of new exciting projects going on. And again, I think if my end objective had been to just relax and chill out, then I probably wouldn't be where I am today, because it's having the end objective of to continue to grow. That, I think, is the key differentiator for people who become successful and those that are just trying. So I hope this video has been good. Have a look in the description. If you want to speak to me one-to-one, you can. I've been Parham. I'll see you again on Wednesday.